There are stories like Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school team, motivating him to become the best, or Jimmy Butler being homeless at 13 that created his toughness. But a player almost dying in an earthquake directly led to him being a first-round pick. Skal Labissiere was already 6'7" at 13 years old in Haiti, but he was super skinny, so Skal lifted weights when he wasn't shooting hoops. Then on January 12, 2010, a magnitude 7 earthquake hit Haiti with Skal in his family's apartment. A wall collapsed on his back, forced him into a crouch that numbed his legs for weeks. All he could hear was screaming and cries for help, but no one was coming. After 30 minutes, he gave up and prepared to die when he finally heard his dad on top of the rubble screaming for his mom. Skal was rescued and used his own weightlifting equipment to save his family from the wreckage. But they were really lucky to be alive because up to 316,000 people died from that earthquake. It was the second deadliest of all time. But just before that, the Labissière family got a life-changing phone call. A man named Gerald Hamilton had visited with an offer for the gigantic 13-year-old. Come live with his family in America to develop Skal's skills for college, then the NBA. Now, Skal's family was suspicious. Like some random guy take their son to another country? I mean, Skal's dad was a college professor. It's not like they were desperate. Until the earthquake, everything in the country was destroyed. So they called back to save their son's basketball dream. After 6 months, he got a student visa to attend high school in Memphis, Tennessee. But man, was it a lot of work. Not only did Skal go to practice in the morning, he had to work nights as a janitor to pay his way, knowing zero English. But after a while, things got easier and Skal started to dominate. He was unusually skilled, tall, and athletic for a high schooler, and attention from elite programs rolled in. But one guy really grabbed Skal's attention. John Calipari from Kentucky had a history of turning top high school players into top NBA picks. Before Skal committed to Kentucky, Coach Cal made Derrick Rose the #1 pick in 08, Tyreke Evans #4 in 09, and top 5 picks including DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, AD, and Cat #1. But what about Skal? As a senior, he rose to the #1 recruit in the country, ahead of guys like Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown, and Jamal Murray. But the future could only get better. Skal Labissiere is the frontrunner to become the #1 pick in the 2016 NBA draft precisely because of that smooth, high-release shot. A 7-footer who hits beautiful threes? He was made for the modern NBA. But at Kentucky, huge flaws emerged. In his second game, Skal scored an efficient 26 points, but he had several off nights in a row. By December 26th, was benched for bad defense and rebounding. To make things worse, he was replaced by a 3-star recruit. That killed his confidence. Skal's only safe place was a Bible study club at school. It turned out his faith had gotten a lot stronger since moving to America. He worked as a janitor in high school at the local church in Memphis. His high school was a Christian program, so he felt lucky to find a place at Kentucky where no one cared that he was a 7-foot high school star. It really helped me get through the year at Kentucky. It was a way for me to get away from everything else outside of basketball, especially when things were not going my way down there. I really needed that. But Ben Simmons was quickly passing up Skal as the projected NBA #1 pick. Coach Calipari blamed himself, saying he tried to force Skal to be Karl Anthony Towns, when that's not actually who he is. But other scouts saw it different. For a guy as tall and as athletic as him not to be able to get rebounds, that is really problematic. Teams are gonna attack him, and then teams are gonna attack him in the post because he's a young player and he's small in terms of muscle mass and physical stature. Translation, they were calling him soft. Would have been good to stay in college to toughen and beef up, but Skal was still a projected first-round pick, so he entered the 2016 draft to see where he would go. Ben Simmons got taken #1 by Philly. Then Brandon Ingram from Duke to the Lakers. #3, Jaylen Brown to the Celtics. But Skal fell out of the top 10. He sat there with his parents for over 2 hours, seeing guys he was ranked way ahead of have their NBA dream come true. But finally, at 28th overall, he was selected by the Suns, who traded him to the Kings. Skal signed for about $4 million at 28th, meaning he lost about $24 million not going number 1. But during his rookie year, the Kings traded DeMarcus Cousins, which opened up opportunity. 1 month after the trade, Sacramento was down by 1 against the Suns in the 4th quarter. Coach Dave Yeager subbed in Skal, who mostly played in the G League, who then began to dismantle the Suns' game plan. Skal on the elbow, spin to a step-back jumper and 1. Then another quick mid-range 2. He even caught a pass from beyond the arc, showing off that smooth, high-release shot. The Kings won that game 107-101 with 32 points from the rookie Skal Labissiere. But no one knew that was actually the high point of his NBA career. In year 2, he was getting benched a lot, which was weird for a rebuilding team. Eventually, he got traded in 2019 for another late first-round bust, Caleb Swanigan. Part of the reason for Skal's downfall was a leg injury that flared up again on his new team, the Blazers, but he was traded one more time to the Hawks and played his last game before the COVID shutdown in December 2019. NBA teams felt like he was too soft on defense and not getting rebounds, and if you're not an offensive superstar like Karl-Anthony Towns or Nikola Vucevic, that doesn't work. Since then, he has tried to get back in the NBA through the Summer League or the G League, but mostly he's played pro in Mexico and Puerto Rico. It sounds like a sad story because he was the projected number 1 overall pick who declined in college, fell to 28th, then was out of the league in just 3 years. But it's not. Just look at his Instagram. He's actually gotten off social media the last few years, which is a good thing. But you see him hosting a basketball camp back in Haiti for kids who look up to him, getting married to his girlfriend in front of friends and family. But most of all, how strong his faith actually is. Life is not all about the NBA, and no one knows that like Skal. Before the earthquake, me and my little brother complained about things that we didn't have. After, we were way more thankful for life. You see how quickly things can change, whether it's from good to bad or bad to good. Everything changed that day. How could it not? I knew then that God had a plan. I love doing inspirational stories like this, especially if it's lesser known like Skal Labissiere. One of my favorites actually is the story of Lonnie Walker. Now we all know who he is from the Spurs and from the Lakers, but I had no idea what he went through before the NBA. Check it out.